It's the morning of jury selection in Alex Bennett's murder trial. In town is the prosecutor's star witness, Bennett's best friend, Grant Lewis. He's prepared to tell the court, one night while drinking, Bennett confessed to murdering someone in Baltimore. But Lewis will never make it to the courthouse.
Al and I picked him up to take him to breakfast, and then we were going to take him to the courthouse for his testimony.
While Grant and detectives are having bagels and coffee, Alex Bennett is making a move no one saw coming.
His attorneys came out and said, he'll tell you everything.
In an unbelievable turn of events, Bennett wants to talk.
What gave him a change of heart?
It was a come-to-Jesus moment in a conversation he had with his mother the night before trial started. She told us later on that she talked to him and said, if you did this, you have to confess. God will forgive you. It was a come-to-Jesus moment.
The news makes it to the detectives at the coffee shop.
What did you do at this point?
Well, at that point, we took Grant Lewis back to the hotel, and we rushed off to the courthouse to hear what was going to be said.
With Sergeant Allen and prosecutors Glennon and Brodt watching from the other room, Detective Child sits down once again with Alex Bennett. This time, Bennett holds nothing back.
All right, Alex. You all right?
Mm-hmm. Bennett spills out the gruesome details of the night he murdered 24-year-old Heidi Bernadzikowski.
She had opened the door. She saw me, panicked. I panicked and rushed at her at the front and, try to muffle her scream and yell. She's clawing at me. She clawed at my lip, scratched my lip. At that point, I had my hand on her mouth and I was holding her throat, crushing her larynx, her throat, trying to kill her. And I just remember eventually she was passing out and losing consciousness. Then I had turned her around and had her, her back was on my back and I was still, choking to make sure that she was dead. And she then went limp, so I wasn't sure if she was dead, but I know she wasn't breathing. And I just kept doing it to make sure.
Bennett says after that, in an effort to mislead cops, he used Heidi's lipstick to write the number 1 on the wall. He then went around the apartment, trying to cover his tracks, all before delivering the final assault.
Got a rag from somewhere and started wiping down doorknobs. And I pulled some of the drawers of the dresser ajar. After I had wiped everything down, I was making sure if she was alive. I didn't know. That's when I had the knife to make sure had cut her throat.
Bennett also admitted to being the neighborhood watch guy and trying to break into the house the day before the murder.
He was very graphic, he was very detailed, he was very forthcoming.
Did you buy the story that he was telling?
We did buy the story he was telling. It reeked of reliability.
But the question remained, why did Bennett kill Heidi Bernadzikowski? What was his motive, and where did the idea come from? Bennett is about to drop an atomic-sized bombshell that's going to blow up in his buddy Grant Lewis's face.
The plan of Baltimore just came up, abruptly when Grant was discussing about receiving money to kill somebody.
The same Grant Lewis who is supposed to be the prosecution's star witness. Bennett says his friend was not only involved, he was the mastermind of their sinister murder-for-hire plot. Cops pick up Grant Lewis from his hotel and bring him in. This interview will be like none that have come before. Detective Child starts by telling him Alex Bennett just confessed.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay.
No testifying.
So the good news is you won't have to testify.
Okay.
All right? But there's bad news along with that. Okay? Grant, you're in the middle of this thing.
I'm not in the middle of this thing.
Did you send him to Baltimore?
I didn't do anything like that.
Childs presses harder.
Did you send him to Baltimore?
I didn't send him to Baltimore, but I know more about this than I've said.
But before Lewis says anything more, he wants to know what kind of deal prosecutors are offering.
I will work with you in any way that I can, but if I didn't have anything to do with that, with him, what he did as far as committing a murder, what's my situation as far as that goes?
That's not the
I
way
just
the
want to
game's
know
played,
that
Lewis eventually agrees to talk.
I lost a lot of people, and it's kind of a side subject, but something about something that made me, think initially, like, here's these people out there, and they're hiring people to kill people.
Lewis tells detectives it was all part of a bizarre scheme to raise money to open a nightclub. He and Bennett came up with the idea to put an ad online selling themselves as hitmen. In the advertisement, they carefully selected the wording. It read, "Professional and discreet house cleaning."
So somebody contacts you back.
Mm-hmm.
What does he say?
Something to the effect that he was looking for probably a hit done or something.
And as a result, one of the only people that come back to you is a guy from here.
Mm-hmm.
And he says...
Yeah, I remember him sending an email where he said, well, I could pay $5,000 up front, and then more afterwards or something for a hit, more or less.
Okay.
And then, and that's basically what we were looking for, was that first set of the down payment, and then we're fine. We're good to go after that.
Lewis says the deal was really a scam. They take the money, but no one was ever supposed to get hurt.
He was supposed to go to Maryland to talk to this guy and pick up some funds for him for what this guy was looking at as a contract murder. But there was not supposed to be any fulfilling or anything. You get their money and then turn them in.
Lewis says that all changed when Bennett went rogue and murdered Heidi. Cops aren't buying it.
That was his way of trying to finagle out of what really occurred.
But there were still important unanswered questions. Who wanted Heidi dead and was willing to pay for her murder? Coming up, can an ID be made?
Did you meet the guy at some point?
At some point when I called Grant, he had told me that the client wanted to meet me at his house.
And the final piece of the deadly puzzle falls in place.
We knew we weren't done. We knew there was more to this.
Investigators want to know, can Bennett identify the guy? He's shown photos of 6 men. Bennett narrows the 6 down to 2. Then he points to one.
I recognize him as the boyfriend.
Boyfriend? Yes. Bennett points the finger straight at Heidi's boyfriend, Stephen Cook.